The alarm system screamed through every military base on Earth at exactly 3:47 a.m. Geneva time. Commander was already awake when his phone began vibrating on the nightstand. He had learned long ago that the worst news always came before dawn. "Commander, we have a situation," the voice on the other end said. It was Lieutenant Sara from the Space Monitoring Station. Her voice was steady but could hear the fear underneath. "You need to get to headquarters immediately." Dressed quickly and drove through the empty streets of Geneva. The UN Space Defense Command building was already lit up like a Christmas tree when he arrived. People rushed through the hallways carrying tablets and folders. Nobody looked at each other. That was always a bad sign. Dr. Park was waiting for him in the command center. She was the best humanity had, though until today, that title had been mostly theoretical. Humans had never actually met aliens before. "Show me," said. The main screen flickered to life. What saw made his breath stop in his throat. Ships, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They hung in space beyond Mars, blocking out the stars behind them. Each ship was the size of a small city. The largest one in the center looked bigger than the moon. "They appeared 6 hours ago," said quietly. "Just appeared, no warning, no gravitational signatures. One moment space was empty, the next moment they were there." "Have they communicated?" asked. "Yes," pressed a button. This message repeated in every language on Earth simultaneously. Every radio, every television, every computer screen, every phone. A voice filled the room. It was artificial, cold, without emotion, but the words were clear. "People of Earth, we are the Dominion. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our empire. You have 72 hours to surrender all military forces and accept rule. If you comply, your deaths will be quick. If you resist, your planet will be sterilized and your species will be eliminated. You have no choice in this matter. This message will not be repeated." The recording ended. Silence filled the command center. "That's it?" asked. "No negotiation, no demands for resources or territory." "That's everything," confirmed. "We tried responding. They won't answer. Every attempt at communication is ignored." Captain Lee entered the room. He commanded Earth's flagship defense vessel, the Dauntless. It was humanity's most advanced warship, equipped with nuclear missiles and experimental. Looked like he hadn't slept. "I need an assessment," said. "Can we fight them?" Shook his head slowly. "Commander, I've reviewed the data. Their smallest ships are more advanced than anything we have. The energy readings we're getting. One of those ships could destroy our entire Pacific fleet in minutes, maybe seconds." "What about our satellites, the orbital defense platforms?" "Already tried," another voice said. It was General, head of Earth's combined military forces. He looked old and tired. "We fired a test missile at their outer perimeter. It never got within 1,000 kilometers. Some kind of energy shield just dissolved it. Didn't even slow down. Didn't even register on their sensors as far as we can tell." Sat down heavily. Around him, the command center buzzed with frantic activity. People were calculating trajectories, analyzing the alien ships, coordinating with governments around the world, but could see it in their eyes. They all knew the truth. "How long until they can attack?" asked. "They're already in attack position," replied. "Those ships, they're pointed at Earth, every single one. They could start firing right now if they wanted." "So why haven't they?" wondered aloud. "Why give us 72 hours?" "Maybe they're being merciful," someone suggested. General laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Merciful, did you hear that message? If you comply, your deaths will be quick. They're not offering mercy. They're offering a choice in how we die." Stood and walked to the main screen. He stared at the alien fleet. Somewhere behind those ships were people or creatures or whatever they were. They had crossed the stars to come here. They had technology humanity couldn't even dream of, and they wanted Earth dead. "Get me everything," said suddenly. I want every piece of data we have on these ships. I want our best scientists analyzing their technology. I want linguists studying their message. I want historians, psychologists, everyone. Get them all here." "Commander," General said carefully, "what are you planning?" "I don't know yet," admitted. "But think about this. They're giving us 3 days. Why, they could kill us right now. They have the power, but they're waiting." "The message said it's protocol," pointed out. "Maybe it's just their standard procedure for conquered worlds." "Maybe," agreed. "But protocols exist for reasons. Someone somewhere designed this process, which means there might be a way to disrupt it." Crossed his arms. "You think we can negotiate with them?" "No," said firmly. "I think negotiation is impossible. They made that clear. But fighting is also impossible. We'd lose in minutes." He turned to face the room. "So we need to find a third option." "What third option?" General asked. "We can't fight and we can't talk. What's left?" Was quiet for a moment. Outside the windows, the sun was beginning to rise over Geneva. Somewhere out there, 8 billion people were waking up to the news that humanity had 3 days left to live. Children were going to school. People were going to work. They were living their lives, not knowing that everything was about to end. "We make them not want to fight us," said finally. The room went silent. Everyone stared at him. "That's impossible," General said. "They came here to destroy us. You heard the message. This isn't a negotiation. This is an execution." "Then we change their minds," said. You study how different cultures think and communicate. What do we know about them?" Pulled up data on her tablet. Almost nothing. The message was the only communication, but the translation was perfect. Simultaneous across all human languages. That suggests extremely advanced AI, or they've been observing us for a long time. "Observing us," repeated. "So they know about us, they know about humanity, and they still came." "That's not encouraging," muttered. "Actually," said slowly, "maybe it is." He looked around the room at the exhausted, frightened faces. "They know about us and they gave us a warning, 3 days. They could have just fired the moment they arrived. But they didn't. Why?" Nobody had an answer. "I want everyone we can get in here in 6 hours," ordered. "Scientists, historians, philosophers, military strategists. Everyone. We have 72 hours to figure out how to save the human race. Not with weapons, with words." "And if we fail?" someone asked quietly. Looked back at the screen, at the massive fleet hanging in space like a death sentence. "Then at least we'll fail trying everything possible," he said. "Now move, we don't have time to waste." The command center exploded into activity. People ran to their stations, made phone calls, sent messages. The clock was ticking. Earth had 72 hours to find a miracle. Stood alone for a moment, staring at the alien ships. Somewhere out there, someone had decided humanity should die, and somehow in 3 days had to convince them otherwise. He had no idea how, but he knew one thing for certain. Humanity hadn't survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and natural disasters by giving up. They would find a way. They had to. The conference room deep beneath the UN headquarters was packed with people. Had called in experts from every field he could think of. Scientists sat next to military officers. Historians argued with physicists. Linguists compared notes with computer programmers. The air was thick with coffee and tension. Dr. Park stood at the front of the room with a laser pointer, presenting what little they knew. On the screen behind her were images of the fleet, enhanced and analyzed by every computer system Earth had. "We've been studying their message for 18 hours, said. "The linguistics team has identified something important. The message wasn't just translated into our languages. It was adapted to our cultural contexts. The Chinese version used phrases that resonate with Chinese history. The English version used words that carry specific weight in English-speaking cultures." "What does that mean?" asked a military historian who had been pulled from a university in Seoul. It means they've studied us extensively, replied. They understand not just our languages but our psychology, our history, our culture. This wasn't a random attack. This was planned. Shin, a cultural anthropologist, raised his hand. Can we use that? If they've studied us, maybe they'll respond to certain approaches. That's what we're trying to figure out, said from the back of the room. We have 48 hours left. We need ideas and we need them now. An AI systems engineer stood up. She looked young, probably in her late 20s, but her credentials were impressive. I've been analyzing the data from our attempted communications. Every signal we've sent has been received. We know that because our sensors detect the signal being absorbed by their ships. They're not ignoring us because they can't hear us. They're choosing not to respond. So they're listening but not talking, said. Why? Because they don't need to, General answered grimly. When you're about to execute someone, you don't have a conversation with them first. The room went quiet. The reality of their situation hung over everyone like a dark cloud. Stood up and walked to a whiteboard. She began writing quickly. Let me tell you what I know about them from historical analysis. We've been monitoring their activities for 3 hours. In that time, our deep space telescopes have been scanning the area they came from. We found something. She pulled up a star map. Red circles marked several points. These are the closest star systems to us in the direction they came from. We detected artificial signals from all of them 3 months ago, signals that suggested advanced civilizations, radio waves, light patterns, energy signatures. Suggested, someone asked, past tense. Yes, his face was grim. As of this morning, all those signals are gone, silent, every single system. The most recent went quiet just 2 weeks ago. The implications hit the room like a physical blow. People began talking all at once. They're wiping out everyone, whispered. Not just conquering, added, his voice shaking. Eliminating completely. Move to the front of the room. Explain what you mean. Pulled up more data. I've been researching historical patterns of conquest. Romans, Mongols, British Empire, everyone. Conquerors throughout history always leave survivors. Slaves, tributaries, puppet governments. It's actually more efficient than killing everyone. You get workers, resources, knowledge. But they aren't doing that, said, understanding dawning on her face. No, confirmed. Every civilization they've encountered is just gone. No signals, no survivors, nothing. They're not building an empire of subjects. They're clearing out real estate. They're genocidal colonizers, said quietly. They don't want to rule us. They want our planet without us on it. The room erupted into chaos. People shouted suggestions, argued, some people even started crying. Let them for a moment. They needed to process this. But after a minute, he raised his hand. Quiet, he said. His voice wasn't loud, but everyone stopped. This changes things. If they wanted slaves or resources, we could negotiate. But they want us dead and our world empty. So traditional diplomacy is impossible. Then what do we do? Someone asked desperately. Looked at, you said you study historical patterns of conquest. What stops conquerors? What makes them turn back? Thought for a moment. Cost, she said finally. When the cost of conquest becomes too high, when the Romans faced Germanic tribes who wouldn't stay conquered, when the British Empire faced colonial uprisings that drained resources, when the cost exceeds the benefit, empires retreat. But we can't make it costly, protested. We can't hurt them. Our weapons are useless. Physical cost isn't the only kind, said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. The anthropologist stood up, excited. In many cultures, there are places people won't go, things people won't touch, not because they physically can't, but because the cultural or spiritual cost is too high. Taboos, sacred sites, cursed ground. You want to make Earth cursed, General said skeptically. Not cursed, replied, but maybe dangerous in a different way, not dangerous now, but dangerous later. Stood up, nodding. I think I understand. It's like a long-term investment. You don't attack a weak enemy if that enemy will become a powerful enemy later. The future cost makes the present action too risky. Exactly, said. They are thinking about colonization. That means they're thinking long-term. Centuries, maybe thousands of years. What if we could convince them that destroying Earth today creates a bigger problem tomorrow? Felt something click in his mind. Go on. Moved back to the whiteboard. Okay, think about this. Why do they give every species 72 hours? It's not mercy, it's protocol. Protocols exist because they solve problems. What problem does a 3-day warning solve? The room was silent as everyone thought. It's a test, said suddenly. They're testing to see if the species will fight back. If we attack, they learn about our weapons before the real conflict. If we surrender, they know we're not a threat. Which means they care about threats, said, his mind racing. They're careful. They don't just charge in blindly. They test first. So they're not invincible, said. They can be hurt. Maybe not by us, not now, but they know something out there could hurt them. That's why they're careful. This is it, said, suddenly sure. We can't threaten them with weapons. We can't threaten them today. But what if we could threaten them with tomorrow, with 100 years from now, with 1,000 years from now? How? General asked. They'll destroy us today. There won't be a tomorrow for humanity. Smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. Unless we convince them that destroying us today guarantees we'll come back to destroy them later. The room went silent as the idea took hold. Stood up again. We'd need to show them our history, show them that humans don't stay dead, that we come back, that we hold grudges. More than that, added, we'd need to show them that we're vengeful, that we never forget, that even if they kill us today, some part of humanity will survive and hunt them forever. That's insane, someone said. We can't make threats, we're helpless. We're not making threats, corrected. We're giving them information, true information, about what humanity is, about what we've done throughout history, about how we've responded to attempted genocide before. Was nodding enthusiastically. Yes, we don't threaten, we educate. We show them every war, every resistance, every time someone tried to wipe us out and failed. We show them the Holocaust survivors who hunted Nazis for decades. We show them the resistance fighters who never surrendered. We show them that humanity doesn't die cleanly. And we make them ask themselves a question, added. Is colonizing Earth worth creating an enemy that will never stop hunting them? Leaned forward. But we'd all be dead. How can we hunt them if we're dead? Smiled. We show them we've already thought of that. We show them we've prepared. Backup plans, hidden archives, genetic samples, messages sent to other star systems. We make them believe that even total destruction of Earth won't kill humanity completely. Have we actually done any of that? Someone asked. Some of it, admitted. The Voyager probes carry human DNA samples. We've sent messages into space for decades. It's not much, but combined with our history of revenge and survival, it creates doubt. Doubt is a weapon. Looked around the room. For the first time since they arrived, he saw hope on people's faces. Not hope that they would live, hope that their plan might work. We have 47 hours, said. We need to compile everything, every war, every genocide we survived, every act of revenge in human history, every example of humans refusing to die. We package it all into one message and we send it to the... What do we call the message? Asked. Thought for a moment. We call it what it is, a warning. We're not begging for our lives. We're warning them what happens if they take our lives. The room exploded into activity. Teams formed instantly. Historians began compiling data. Scientists gathered research. AI teams started building a comprehensive database of human survival and revenge. They had 2 days to build a message that would save the world, not through strength, but through fear of what humanity could become. It was a desperate plan, an insane plan, but it was the only plan they had. 24 hours remained. The command center had become something between a war room and a library. Screens covered every wall, each showing different aspects of human history. Some showed ancient battles. Others displayed modern conflicts. Still others showed charts and graphs tracking human population recovery after disasters. Dr. Park hadn't slept in 2 days. Her eyes were red but focused as she coordinated the message compilation. Around her, dozens of people worked frantically. "We need more on biological resilience," she called out. "Show them we've survived plagues, famines, ice ages. Make them understand we're hard to kill." Worked at a station nearby, her fingers flying across a keyboard. "I'm pulling up data on Jewish Nazi hunters. There are cases of people pursuing war criminals for 40, 50 years, never giving up, never forgetting." "Add the Armenian genocide survivors," Shin suggested. "Show the pattern. Attempted genocide, survival, remembrance. It's happened over and over throughout human history." In another section of the room was working with her AI team. They had created a sophisticated program that would package the message in a way they couldn't ignore. "The message needs to be impossible to dismiss," explained Tu. "We're using their own communication protocols. When they tried to contact us, we analyzed the signal structure. Now we're using the same structure. It'll force their systems to process the entire message before they can delete it." "How much data can we send?" asked. "Everything," said with a slight smile. "Their technology is so far beyond ours that data size isn't an issue. We could send them our entire internet if we wanted, but we're being selective. Every piece of information serves a purpose." Nodded and moved to where General was standing, looking at a display showing military history. The general's face was grim. "This is every defensive war humanity has ever fought," said quietly. "Look at this. The Greeks against the Persians, the Vietnamese against the Americans, the Russians against Napoleon, and see the pattern. Smaller forces defeating larger ones," observed. "Not just defeating," corrected. "Refusing to accept defeat. That's different. The Vietnamese didn't win because they were stronger. They won because they never stopped fighting. Same with the Afghans against the Soviets. Same with the Finns against Russia in the Winter War. We have hundreds of examples of humans who should have lost but didn't because they refused to quit." "That's exactly what we need," said. "Show them that destruction doesn't equal victory against humans." Across the room was talking with an elderly man. His name was Nam, and he was 93 years old. He had survived the Korean War as a child and spent his life documenting stories of survival and resistance. "Tell me about remembrance," said gently. "Why do humans remember trauma so vividly?" His eyes were distant. "Because forgetting is death. My father used to say that. When they tried to erase our culture, our language, our history, the only weapon we had was memory. We remembered. We told our children. They told their children. You can burn our books, destroy our buildings, kill our people, but you cannot kill memory." "Can we record that?" asked. "Your testimony?" "Of course," said. "If it helps save record everything." For the next hour, and dozens of other survivors recorded their stories. Holocaust survivors, genocide survivors, people who had lived through wars and occupations. Their voices were added to the message, raw and powerful. "These testimonies are crucial," explained to the team. "The need to understand that humans don't just survive physically. We survive culturally, emotionally, spiritually. We carry our pain across generations." Called out from her station. "I've finished the revenge documentation. Do you know what I found? Humans have pursued justice for crimes across ridiculous spans of time. There are organizations still hunting war criminals from conflicts 70 years ago. We put people on trial in their 90s for crimes they committed as young men. We never let go." "Add it to the message," ordered. "Make them understand that time doesn't erase human memory." Entered the command center carrying a data chip. I have the military's contribution. Every weapon we've ever developed, from stone axes to nuclear bombs. The timeline shows exponential growth. Stone tools for 100,000 years, then bronze, then iron, then gunpowder, then nuclear weapons, then quantum computers, all in the last 10,000 years. The rate of advancement is accelerating. Perfect, said, taking the chip. We'll extrapolate that data, show them where human technology could be in 100 years, 1,000 years. If our advancement continues at this rate, we could match their technology in less time than they think. But we'd be dead, someone pointed out. Would we? Challenged. She pulled up a new screen. Show them this. The Voyager probes launched in 1977. They're still out there, carrying human DNA samples, human music, human languages. They're beyond our solar system now, heading to other stars. If any intelligent species finds them, they could theoretically reconstruct humanity. That's a stretch, General said skeptically. Maybe, admitted. But they don't know that. We're playing on fear and doubt. What if they destroy Earth and 1,000 years from now, some other species uses our Voyager probes to recreate humans? Humans who know exactly who killed their planet. Is that a risk they want to take? Walked over, her tablet full of data. We have an interesting addition. The North Sentinel Island people, a tribe that has remained isolated and hostile to outside contact for thousands of years. They attack anyone who approaches their island. The point is that human groups can maintain hostility and isolation for incredible periods of time. If even a small group of humans escapes, they could maintain grudges for centuries. I like it, said. It fits the pattern. Humans hold grudges, humans remember, humans eventually retaliate. The hours ticked by. The message grew. It became a comprehensive archive of everything that made humanity dangerous, not in military might, but in determination, memory, and refusal to stay defeated. We need to address one more thing, said suddenly. The message said if we comply, our deaths will be quick. We need to explain what happens if they kill us all. What do you mean? Asked. They're offering a quick death as a mercy, explained. They're basically saying we can make this painful or painless, your choice. But we need to flip that. We need to make them understand that there's no painless option for them. If they attack, they create an eternal enemy. Nodded enthusiastically. Yes, we add a section on inevitability. Show them that human extinction is nearly impossible because we've already spread too far. The DNA samples in space, the messages we've sent, the possibility of survivors in bunkers or underground facilities. Even if Earth burns, humanity continues. And we've already thought about this, added, pulling up old documents. Look, Cold War bunker systems, seed vaults in Norway, digital archives scattered across the globe. Humans have been preparing for apocalypse for decades, not because we're paranoid, but because we're survivors. We plan for the worst. The message took shape. It was massive, comprehensive, and terrifying in its implications. It didn't threaten the directly. Instead, it laid out a simple logical conclusion. Destroying humanity today creates a problem tomorrow that grows worse with every passing century. How do we end it? Asked. What's our final statement? Thought for a long moment. Around him, exhausted people waited. They had worked without sleep, without rest, compiling humanity's entire legacy of survival and revenge into one message. We end with truth, said finally. We tell them they have a choice. They can leave Earth alone and face no consequences, or they can destroy Earth and face the possibility, not certainty but possibility, that someday somehow humanity will return. And when we do, we'll remember who tried to kill us. We'll remember for 1,000 years if necessary, because that's what humans do. We remember, we endure, and we never forgive attempted genocide. That's not a threat, said quietly. That's a promise. Exactly, agreed. We're not threatening them, we're educating them, giving them information they need to make an informed decision about their future. Looked at the massive compiled message on her screen. Terabytes of data, thousands of years of human history, millions of examples of human resilience, survival, and revenge. "This is everything we are," she said softly. "Every ugly thing, every beautiful thing, every time we should have died but didn't, every time someone tried to erase us and failed." "Add one more thing," said from his chair. The old man had stayed to watch the process. "Add our genetic diversity. Show them that humans are spread across every climate, every environment on Earth. We live in deserts, jungles, Arctic regions, mountains, islands. We're not concentrated. We're everywhere. That makes total extinction nearly impossible without destroying the entire planet, and even then, some might survive underground or in sealed bunkers." "Good point," said, adding the data. General checked his watch. 18 hours left. When do we send it? "Now," decided. "Give them time to process it, time to think, time to run their own simulations and realize we're right." "And if they don't care," someone asked quietly, "if they read all this and attack anyway?" Looked around at the exhausted, frightened faces. "Then we'll know we tried everything. And maybe, just maybe, some part of humanity will survive to prove us right." Uploaded the message to the transmission system. Had coded it to force acknowledgement from the systems. They would have to receive it. They would have to process it. Whether they would listen was another question. "Message ready," announced. "Send it," ordered. The command center went silent. Everyone watched as the massive data package transmitted toward the fleet. It would reach them in minutes. The question was what they would do with it. Earth had played its last card. Now they could only wait. Fleet Commander stood in the command chamber of the Eternal Dominion, watching the blue-green planet rotate slowly below. In his 300 years of service, he had overseen 56 planetary incorporations. Earth would be 57. It should have been routine. The humans had been predictable so far. Initial panic, scrambling military responses, attempts at communication. All standard, all expected. The 72-hour protocol had never failed before. Then the message arrived. "Commander," War Analyst called out, "we're receiving a massive data transmission from the surface. The humans have sent us something." Sensory appendages flickered with mild interest. More begging, offers of surrender. "No, Commander," sounded uncertain, which was unusual. "It's different. The data package is enormous, terabytes of information, and it's coded using our own communication protocols." "They learned our protocols in 3 days," was impressed despite himself. These humans were primitive but apparently not stupid. "Not learned, Commander. They analyzed our initial message and replicated the structure. Our systems are processing the data automatically. We can't stop it without shutting down the entire communication array." "Then let it process," decided. "I'm curious what these primitives think is worth saying." The data flooded into the systems, began reviewing it with. At first it seemed like random information. Historical records, military conflicts, cultural practices, but as they analyzed deeper, a pattern emerged. "This is comprehensive," said slowly. "They're showing us their entire history of warfare and survival." Watched as the data organized itself into categories: wars, genocides, resistance movements, survival stories, revenge. The word revenge appeared thousands of times. "They're trying to frighten us," said with amusement. "Primitive species often resort to empty threats when facing superior force." "Commander, I don't think these are threats," replied. "These are records, historical facts. Look at this." He pulled up a section. "The human concept of justice. They pursue criminals across decades. This entry shows a human hunting another human for crimes committed 50 years earlier. The criminal was 94 years old when captured. So, we know primitives hold grudges. But for this long, look at the pattern, Commander. This isn't isolated, it's cultural. Multiple human civilizations across thousands of years all showing the same behavior. They don't forget. They don't forgive. They just wait." began to feel the first stirring of unease. He pulled up more data. The humans had included projections of their technological advancement. The graphs showed exponential growth. "This is propaganda," said. "They're trying to convince us they'll become a threat." "Let me run a simulation," suggested. "Our strategic AI can analyze their advancement rate." Fed the human data into the war computer. It was the most advanced analytical system in the Dominion, designed to assess threats across. The results appeared on the screen. Went very still. "What is it?" demanded. "Commander, the AI has classified humans as an Omega-level threat." "That's impossible. Omega classification requires potential for galactic-scale conflict. These primitives barely have fusion power." "I know, Commander, but look at the analysis," displayed the results. "The AI has evaluated 3,000 years of human history. It's found something disturbing. Humans advance technologically at an unprecedented rate. More importantly, they have a unique psychological profile." "Explain." "Humans romanticize extinction events, Commander. They have entire cultural traditions around last stands, dying for causes, martyrdom. The AI has never encountered a species with this trait before. Most species, when facing extinction, negotiate or flee. Humans fight harder." Reviewed the data himself. Story after story of humans facing impossible odds and fighting anyway. The Battle of Thermopylae, the Siege of Leningrad, the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Over and over, humans choosing death over surrender. "This changes nothing," said firmly. "They can romanticize death all they want. We can still destroy them." "Yes, Commander, we can destroy them today, but consider this." Pulled up a new analysis. "The humans have sent genetic material beyond their solar system, probes carrying DNA samples, messages to other star systems. If any other species finds these, they could potentially recreate humans." "That's absurd. The probability of another species finding those probes is infinitesimal." "I agree, Commander, but the probability isn't zero. And look what the AI has calculated." Displayed a series of projections. "If even 0.1% of humans survive our attack, hidden in underground facilities or remote locations, the probability of revenge within 500 years is 94%. Within 1,000 years, 99.7%. Felt cold. "The AI believes they would find us across the galaxy." "Yes, Commander. Based on their historical behavior patterns, humans don't forget grudges. They pursue revenge across generations. If we destroy Earth today, we create an enemy that will exist for the next 1,000 years. And if their technology continues advancing at the current rate," hesitated. "Say it," ordered. "In 500 years, humans could match our technology. In 1,000 years, they could exceed it." The command chamber was silent except for the hum of systems. Reviewed the data again. The humans had been clever. They hadn't threatened. They had simply presented facts, historical facts, mathematical projections, logical conclusions. "What about total planetary destruction?" asked. "Sterilize the surface completely, boil the oceans, make the planet uninhabitable." Ran the numbers. That would require destroying the entire biosphere. The energy expenditure would be significant. And Commander, it still doesn't guarantee complete extinction. The humans have prepared for this. Look. He showed images of underground bunkers, sealed vaults, emergency supplies. They've been preparing for apocalypse scenarios for decades. Some might survive even total surface destruction. Then we destroy the planet itself, crack it open. That would take days, Commander. Our fleet is powerful, but planetary destruction on that scale requires sustained bombardment, and it would consume enormous resources. For one primitive world, the Dominion Council would question the expenditure. Felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Doubt. The humans had planted a seed of doubt in his mind, and it was growing. "Show me the classification criteria for Omega threats," he demanded. Display the data. Omega threats are defined by three criteria. First, potential for technological parity within a millennium. Second, demonstrated inability to be permanently suppressed. Third, cultural tendency toward persistent conflict across generations. Humans meet all three criteria. No other species we've encountered has been classified Omega. No, Commander. Most species negotiate. Most species, when conquered, eventually accept their new status. The few that resist are technologically stagnant or localized. Humans are unique. They combine rapid advancement with cultural obsession with revenge and survival. Reviewed the message again. One section caught his attention, testimonies from human survivors. He listened to one, an old man speaking about memory, about how humans pass trauma across generations, about how they never forget. The old man's words were simple but powerful. You can kill us today, but you cannot kill the memory of what you did. Someone will remember, someone will survive, and they will come for you. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in your lifetime, but eventually they will come. Made his decision. He activated the fleet-wide communication system. All commanders attend. Within moments, the command chamber filled with holographic projections of the other commanders. They all looked expectant. "I'm calling for a vote," announced. "Standard protocol requires unanimous agreement for incorporation. I am voting to abort the Earth operation." Silence, then chaos. Every commander began speaking at once. "Commander, explain yourself," demanded one of the older commanders. Displayed the human message and the AI analysis. "Review this data. I believe Earth represents an unacceptable long-term risk." For hours, the commanders debated. Some agreed with immediately. Others were skeptical. But as they reviewed the data, as they ran their own simulations, the consensus began to shift. The resource expenditure to guarantee complete extinction would be excessive, one commander concluded. "The probability of survivors is too high," another agreed. "And if even a small group survives, the AI projects with high certainty they will eventually retaliate," a third added. Finally, the vote was called. It was unanimous. Earth would be classified as too costly to incorporate. Compose the response message carefully. The humans needed to understand what they had accomplished and what it meant. "Prepare to transmit to Earth," ordered. "I want this message on every communication device they have." "Yes, Commander." Looked at the blue-green planet one last time. Such a beautiful world, such dangerous inhabitants. "Transmit this, people of Earth. We have reviewed your message. We understand now what you are. The Dominion has existed for 12,000 years by eliminating threats before they mature. You are correct in your assessment. We could destroy your world today, but we cannot destroy your species. We can only ensure that one day, a technologically advanced, vengeance-seeking humanity will hunt us across the stars. The Dominion chooses to leave your species uncontacted. This decision will stand for as long as the Dominion exists. Do not seek us out. We will not return." The message transmitted. On the viewing screens watched the human planet. He imagined the people down there receiving the message, realizing they had been spared. "All ships," ordered, "prepare for departure. We're leaving this system." As the fleet powered up, their faster-than-light drives felt a strange emotion. Not quite fear, not quite respect, something between them. The humans had won not through strength, but through psychology. They had convinced a galactic empire that leaving them alone was safer than making them enemies. It was brilliant, it was unprecedented, and it was absolutely terrifying. The fleet vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving Earth behind. The humans had survived, and the galaxy would remember. The command center was silent when the response arrived. Commander stared at the screen, hardly daring to breathe. Around him, every person in the room had stopped working. Everyone was watching, waiting. Dr. Park's hand shook as she activated the message playback. The same cold, artificial voice from before filled the room, but the words were different. People of Earth, we have reviewed your message. We understand now what you are. As the message played, watched the faces around him change. Confusion, disbelief, hope, relief. When the message ended with the declaring they would not return, the room erupted. People hugged each other, some cried, others laughed. A few just collapsed into chairs, the tension of 3 days finally breaking. General sat down heavily, his face in his hands. Captain Lee leaned against a wall, eyes closed, breathing deeply. "They're leaving," whispered. "They're actually leaving." On the main screen, sensors showed the fleet powering up. Energy signatures spiked across all their ships. Then, one by one, they vanished. The massive fleet simply disappeared, leaving empty space where moments before had been humanity's death sentence. "Confirm," said, his voice rough. "I need confirmation they're gone." "Scanning," someone called out. "No contacts, no energy signatures. The entire fleet has left the system." The room exploded again. This time let them celebrate. They had earned it. The entire world had earned it. But even as people celebrated, felt something else. Not relief, not joy, something heavier. Appeared at his side. The young historian looked exhausted but alive with energy. "We did it," she said. "We actually did it." "We didn't do anything," said quietly. "We told them the truth and they made a logical decision. That's all." "That's everything," corrected. "We showed them who we are, and they decided we were more dangerous as an enemy than as a conquest. That's a victory, Commander." Nodded slowly. Outside the command center, he could hear cheering spreading through the building. Soon the whole world would know. Earth was safe. Humanity had survived. "We need to address the global population," General said, standing up. "People need to hear this from us directly." Within an hour, every major leader on Earth had gathered via video conference. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, scientists, they all looked as exhausted as felt, but they were alive. That was something. "What do we tell them?" someone asked. "How do we explain what happened?" "We tell them the truth," said. "We tell them that an alien empire threatened to destroy Earth, and we convince them not to through historical data and psychological warfare. We tell them we won by making them fear what we could become." "Some will say we got lucky," another leader pointed out. "We did get lucky," agreed. "We got lucky that they were logical, that they thought long-term, that they cared about future threats. Another species might not have cared. They might have destroyed us anyway." "So what's the lesson?" asked Shin. Thought carefully before answering. "The lesson is that we're not as helpless as we thought. We have tools beyond weapons. Psychology, history, information. These things have power, sometimes more power than bombs." The global broadcast went out an hour later. Stood at the podium, looking into cameras that would carry his words to every corner of Earth. He looked tired. Everyone looked tired, but they were alive. "People of Earth," began. 3 days ago, an alien fleet arrived at the edge of our solar system. They demanded our surrender and threatened total destruction. Today, that fleet is gone. They have left our system and promised never to return." He paused. Around the world, billions of people watched, listened, waited to understand how they had survived. "We survived not through military might, but through understanding ourselves. We sent them a message, a comprehensive archive of human history. We showed them our wars, our survival stories, our capacity for remembrance and revenge. We showed them that humanity doesn't die easily, and that even attempted extinction creates an enemy that persists across centuries." Looked directly at the camera. They made a logical calculation. Destroying Earth today would create a problem tomorrow, a problem that grows worse with every passing year. So they left us alone, not out of mercy, not out of kindness, out of pragmatic self-interest. He took a breath. "This victory comes with knowledge that will change us. We now know we're not alone in the universe. We know there are powers out there far beyond our own. And we know that our greatest strength isn't our weapons, it's our refusal to accept extinction, our determination to survive, our long memory. The broadcast ended, stepped away from the podium and walked back to the command center. The celebrations had calmed down. People were beginning to process what had really happened. "What happens now?" asked. "Now we prepare," said simply. Over the following weeks, the world changed. The threat had done something unprecedented. It had united humanity. Nations that had been enemies worked together. Resources flowed toward space development. Scientists from every country collaborated, led the effort to upgrade Earth's detection systems. "We got lucky this time," she told her team. "They gave us warning. The next visitors might not." "Do you think there will be next visitors?" someone asked. "Absolutely," said. "They are one empire among many. There are others out there. We need to be ready." Construction began on new space stations, better telescopes, improved communication systems, defensive satellites. Humanity had been given a warning and a gift, time to prepare. But the most important changes were psychological. The world had seen what humanity was capable of when united. The message to the hadn't just saved Earth. It had reminded humans of their own resilience. 6 months after the left, stood in the new UN Space Defense Headquarters. The building was larger now, with better technology. Outside the windows, he could see construction crews working on orbital platforms. Joined him at the window. "I've been analyzing the message," she said. "The part where they said not to seek them out. What do you think that means?" "It means they're afraid of us," said. "Not now, but eventually. They're afraid of what we might become." Should we be proud of that or worried? Both, admitted. We survived by convincing them we're dangerous, but now we have to actually become what we claim to be. We have to advance, to grow stronger, because if we don't and they change their minds, we'll have nothing to back up our threats. Were they threats, asked, or predictions? "Does it matter?" countered. "They believed we would hunt them if they destroyed Earth. Whether that's a threat or a prediction depends on whether we survive, and now we have to make sure we do." In a university in Seoul, taught a new class. History of First Contact, it was called. Students filled every seat, eager to understand what had happened. "The encounter taught us something crucial," explained to her class. "Power isn't just military strength. It's also psychology, culture, and determination. They had superior weapons, but we had superior understanding of ourselves. We knew what we were, and we made them see it too." "Professor," a student asked, "do you think we'll encounter them again?" "I don't know," admitted, "but I know this. We sent them a message 3 days before they were supposed to destroy us. We showed them our history, our capacity for survival and revenge, and they decided leaving us alone was safer than making us enemies. That's not a guarantee of safety. That's a warning we need to live up to." In her lab, worked on new projects, faster communication systems, better sensors, improved AI, but she also worked on something else, more messages, more probes sent into deep space, more archives scattered across the solar system. "What are you doing?" her assistant asked. "Insurance," said. "They believed we had backup plans, that even total destruction wouldn't end humanity. Some of that was bluff, but I'm making sure it becomes truth. If anyone ever tries to destroy Earth again, there will be copies of humanity out there. Real copies, enough to rebuild." "You think someone will try again?" "I think we told the galaxy that humanity is dangerous," said. "Some will stay away because of that. Others will see us as a threat that needs to be eliminated before we grow stronger. We can't predict which, so we prepare for both." A year after the left, Earth held a global memorial service. Not for the dead. Miraculously, no one had died during the encounter, but for the close call, for the reminder of mortality, for the knowledge that humanity had come within hours of extinction. Nam, the elderly man who had given testimony for the message, spoke at the memorial. His voice was quiet but firm. "We almost died," he said simply. "Our entire species, everything we've built, everything we've dreamed. Gone, but we didn't die, not because we were strong, not because we were advanced. We survived because we knew ourselves. We understood our own history, our own nature, and we used that knowledge as a weapon." He paused, looking at the crowd. Thousands had gathered. Millions more watched worldwide. They left us with a warning. Do not seek them out. But they also left us with something else. Knowledge. We know now that we're not alone. We know there are dangers out there beyond anything we imagined. And we know that our survival depends on being as dangerous as we claim to be. His eyes swept across the audience. Make no mistake, we told them we would never forget. We told them we would never forgive. We told them that even death wouldn't stop us from seeking revenge. These weren't lies. These were promises, and now we must keep them, not by seeking conflict, but by being strong enough that no one dares to try what they considered. The memorial ended, people dispersed, but the message remained. In the command center, now operating at full capacity, watched the displays. New satellites tracked deep space. Communications arrays monitored for alien signals. Defense platforms stood ready, not ready enough to stop a level threat. Not yet, but better than before, and improving every day. "Do you think we're safe?" asked, standing beside him. "No," said honestly. "I think we bought time, maybe decades, maybe centuries, but the galaxy knows about us now. The will talk. Other species will hear about the humans who talked their way out of extinction. Some will respect that. Others will see us as a future threat to be eliminated. So what do? We make good on our promises," said. "We told them that humanity never forgets, that we survive, that we grow stronger, that we pursue revenge across generations if necessary. Now we have to become that species, not because we want to, but because our survival depends on it." He turned to face directly. "We didn't win the war, we postponed it. And when it comes, and it will come, we need to be ready. Not with threats, not with psychology, but with actual power." Outside, the sun set on a changed world. Humanity had looked into the face of extinction and convinced it to blink first. But everyone knew the truth. Next time they might not be so lucky. Next time, words might not be enough. So Earth prepared, ships were built, weapons were developed, but more importantly, humanity remembered. They remembered the terror of those 3 days, the helplessness, the desperate gamble that had saved them. And they promised themselves, never again would humanity face extinction with nothing but words to defend themselves. Next time they would be ready. Next time they would be strong. Next time humanity would be as dangerous as they had claimed to be. They had given Earth a warning. Now Earth was giving the galaxy one in return. Humanity survived, humanity remembered, and humanity was coming. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. And the galaxy should be ready for that day.